This is Madam C.J. Walker Builds a Business. Chapter 3. Sarah dreamed she was sitting on the porch in Papa's lap with Mama close by. The three of them gazed at the stars. "Get up," Jessie growled, startling Sarah out of her sleep. Jessie snatched the small wool cover off Sarah's body and tossed it to the floor. "You gonna sleep the day away? Get out there, gather the eggs, and fix me some breakfast. I won't stand any laziness in my house. Lazy girls don't deserve to eat." The day before, Sarah had awoken before the sun rose to churn butter, prepare breakfast, and haul laundry down to the river, and she'd worked hard until long after it had set. But that didn't matter. Every day was the same. Sarah's brothers still hadn't sent for her, so she needed to find a way out of her misery on her own. But Sarah was only 14 and couldn't afford to live alone yet. The quickest way was to share the burden of earning a living with someone else. She thought she knew of someone. She put her plan into action at the next church fish fry. "Miss Olive, let me take my turn at serving," Sarah said, stepping in to take the spoon. For a few months she had her eye on a nice young man at church named Moses, and now here he was, waiting in the serving line. "Hi, Miss Sarah," Moses said with a big old smile on his face. Moses admired how kind and eager Sarah was. She was always the first to raise her hand to answer questions at Bible study and the first to volunteer at bake sales. He loved her wide brown eyes and how her smooth skin glowed in the sunlight. "Hi yourself, Moses. I fixed this special for you," Sarah said sweetly. She handed him a plate heaped high with fish, field peas, cornbread, and pickled watermelon. It didn't take long for Sarah to convince Moses she'd be the perfect partner. Within weeks, Sarah and Moses snuck off to get married. The couple exchanged vows, took each other's hands, then jumped over a brightly decorated broom handle together. This was called jumping the broom, just like Sarah's parents had when it was illegal for slaves to get married. Sarah liked her new life. Although she missed her sister, she didn't miss Jessie's yelling. Moses had 2 good crop seasons in a row, allowing Sarah to breathe a little easier. They had extra money to buy what they needed, and even some of what they wanted. Each night, Moses came home, set his boots by the door, and greeted his wife. One night, he brought home 2 peppermint sticks, Sarah's favorite. "What's the special occasion?" Sarah laughed as she held the sticky candy. "To remind you how sweet life is when we're together," Moses said. 3 years later, Sarah and Moses had a baby girl named Lila. Lila or Layla, I'm not sure. I'm going to say Layla. Sarah adored her daughter. She wanted to build a world around Layla full of joy and kindness. "Good morning, sunshine," she sang every morning, bouncing Layla on her knee. Sarah especially loved her baby's hair because it was nothing like her own. Sarah's hair was dry, crunchy, and itchy. She wished she had the tools she needed to style it, though even if she did, she didn't know any hairstyles to try. It was thin and kept falling out, so she wrapped it up in a big piece of fabric. Sarah worried that Layla's hair would end up like hers, so she tried to protect it. Once a week, she sat Layla on her lap and combed out the tangles in the baby's hair. Then she styled it into little puffs tied with brightly colored ribbons. Sarah remembered how good it felt to have her mama play with her hair. It felt like love, and she wanted Layla to feel that too. "I'm going to make your dreams come true, little baby," she whispered in Layla's ear. For a while, it seemed those dreams were possible. Then Sarah's happiness came to an end. One night, her beloved Moses went out to a meeting and did not return. Sarah rocked Layla to sleep and sat anxiously by the door, waiting to hear her husband's footsteps on the porch. The hours ticked by, and still no Moses. The next morning, Sarah received the terrible news. Moses had been killed, and someone whispered that word again: lynching. Just like that, Sarah was a widow at age 20, with a toddler to raise by herself. After Moses was buried, Sarah knew she had to leave Vicksburg. she bought 2 tickets on a boat headed north up the Mississippi River. Sarah sat on the floor in the belly of the boat among the pigs, sheep, and goats. It was the only space on board she could afford. Everything she owned was wrapped in a blanket once more. She held Layla tight in her arms, cupping her little daughter's head against her chest, trying to drown out the throb of the engine. After a while, they both fell asleep to the rocking of the boat. That's the end of chapter 3.